Hey, what's up, guys? Tainy here. I'm in Neon 16 Studios in Miami, and I'm sitting in my studio where I was able to create In the Ghetto with Skrillex and J Balvin, Dakiti, J Cortez and Bad Bunny, and also Adicto, Anuel and Ozuna. So the first time that I think I fell in love, and knew that I wanted to do music was probably when I first started 7th grade. Probably, I think it's 2001. And by that time, reggaeton and rap is something that's, really relevant at school with my friends. I was watching MTV, looking at all the videos. So pop was, out there. You have rock music that for me was really, I think my first thing that I really gravitated towards. And, a little bit of that mixed with what I was listening to in the streets and, with my friends. I really developed, a love for music and an interest towards it. And when I saw that I wanted to do music per se, was going to church with my mom. And I'm the eldest in my house, so, I'm the one who's getting to know and, learn about things. I didn't really have a big brother to just guide me or ask questions or whatever. So I found that guy to be at church. He was son of the pastor and his name was Josias. But as a music producer, they call him Nelly, the secret weapon. And he was 2-3 years older than me. So he started in music before me. Him and his cousin, they all had a group at, at church. And little by little, he just learned how to do beats, and he started to just find his way, and he got into what was reggaeton, the movement at the time. So to me, that was the coolest thing ever. So now I wanted to study what he was doing and listen to his music and who inspired him to do music, which were Looney Tunes, the biggest producers in Puerto Rico. So by that time, that was my mission. I just wanted to be able to make beats like he did. So I just found a way to stay at his house, sleep over. He was older, so he just went out, he went to the studio. I didn't get to go a lot, but the little moments that I could, it was golden to me. I was just a sponge. I wanted to see exactly what they were doing. And, by the time that I started asking and they gave me the software, which was FL Studio, I think that's where I say I need to do this. So my mission was to get my mom to give me a computer. So I would say that era, 2001, I'm probably 14, 15, well, about to be 15 probably. That's when I really know, I want to be a music producer. Looking back, probably my mom could have been more what do you need a computer for? That's so expensive. What is it exactly that you need to do? And, start asking me, a lot of questions. But just thinking back, she didn't really do any of that. She just saw my excitement, my drive that I really wanted to do this, and no questions asked. She just found a way, invested in getting me my first computer. And finally, I could install my first FL Studio, which was gifted to me. I didn't buy it. Didn't really have the ways of getting it, but at least we had that. And little by little, by just having that, opening up my FL Studio for the first time and realizing that I could just do whatever I wanted, I think is one of the best experiences of my life, just being able to have this open canvas and whatever comes to mind, whatever genre, whatever idea, you can just play around, no rules, and just, have fun. And from there on, I just became addicted to it, and I just wanted to learn and keep learning. And I think that was my goal from there on, to keep practicing, be able to eventually show my music to Nelly and to some of my friends. And hopefully maybe sometime I could probably work at this, but it wasn't my main goal at the beginning. I was just inspired to do music like how the people that I admire were doing at the time. So when I started, I know I wasn't good. I sucked. And, I know that for sure is part of the process. There's certain people that are a little bit more advanced. Probably they start and they're just this prodigy, amazing, artist or basketball player or a producer or whatever it is. Some people have, that gift that probably from the start, they're just a natural talent. But for me, it took me time. I never knew nothing about music theory. So to me, it was a little bit more of finding my way of creating, everything I do to this day is by ear. I don't really know the exact chords or like the progression or whatever. I just find my way along the way. I know what sounds good, what sounds bad, what's not in tune, and little by little I keep adding tools to my my way of approaching and creating music. But at that beginning, it was just finding myself. Like, I would show some of the ideas, and Nelly would tell me like, this is auto tune, like this does not go over here. So I started learning about chords and notes, and then leveling and mixing. This is saturated, you can't do this, and learning about that. So I know that the first couple of beats are not good. I didn't really know much about the tempo and the BPM, so things were not exactly on the right groove. But it's just growing pains. You learn from that, and like everything, just practice and practice and practice just gets to that perfection that you're looking for. And you just need to put the time in it. I don't know how I did it. I was going to school at the time, but it was just that adrenaline of I needed to go back home. I wanted to work, go to sleep for an hour, then go to school and come back, because I just was, so driven to be better and to get that approval from the people that, I looked up to. And, eventually with all this practice and all this time, I think I got to that point, and that led me to, becoming a music producer. So I don't think I necessarily remember it, perfectly. I know that sometimes, when I went back to Puerto Rico, I would see some of the CDs. By that time, the only way I could show my ideas were burning CDs with, 2, 3, 5 instrumentals. And I remember probably getting some of the earliest ones. I don't think the first one, but I heard him back, and it wasn't great. I just had like a great laugh. It just took me back to that little room in my house of just exploring for the first time. You can just like sit back and look at all the growth, and for everybody that's watching this and probably getting into doing music, like take that as an amazing step, just to go back and have fun and realize how much you've grown, because you probably won't notice it along the way. Like everything happens so fast. You're working, you're learning, you're adapting, and but it's good to like go back and see how you started. It's a humbling, amazing experience. But I would love to probably find the first beat that I ever did. Probably if I start searching, I'll find it, but let's see what happens. For me, it was just a mess of first finding that not everybody wants to share their samples. Like they were a little bit protective of like their things. They probably thought you were gonna steal their sound or whatever. So I had to encounter those, situations sometimes. But, I was really blessed to have, good mentors and guys like Nelly. He helped me out, like giving me some of his, sounds so I can, find my way. Obed, who's, his cousin, he also like gave me all of the tools that he had at his disposal. I could sit down at either at his house, or if Nelly would take me here and then to the studio. And, if I could just sit there, and just be a sponge and just absorb everything, that really helped me a lot to just go back home and memorize either plugins that they had, and then realize there's no way of me getting it, free. But then, listening to certain, how they use this kick or how they use, these certain things, and, checking what was the latest music, maybe things that inspired them. And by that, started creating my own library by cutting certain samples and just like going around. But for me, it was always finding a way to stay in their houses, asking permission, lying here and there, just to stay a couple more days, because, maybe I'm staying at Nelly's house, but he hasn't been in the house for like 2 days. So I just want to wait until he gets back. So, there's a lot of things that go through it, a lot of, different processes to just get to that point that you're going to feel, okay, I'm going to at least have, the right samples, the right tools to just make your music a little bit closer to, to what they were doing. But yeah, for me, it was fun times, just figuring out, where I was, how can I evolve, how can I sound better. And, thank God there's a lot more things where you can, now find good quality in sounds, a little bit more accessible than before. And, that's what we're here for, to just give back. For me, it was a journey. Like, I loved every second of it, even though it was, challenging, and we had to fight for certain things, but just to have it there and be able to find your sound a lot faster is amazing, because we all need great music at the end of the day, and there's so much talent around the world. So for it to be a lot more accessible, like, that's amazing. Wow, I don't even know if I have like a secret sauce. Like, for me, I think it's something that I probably developed by trying stuff, messing up, and practicing and practicing. Probably for me, I just found a way of like making my things sound a certain way that's particular to me, that I don't even notice it until a lot of other people sit down and listen or ask me, like, how do you make your drums sound like that, or how do you make everything sound in its space, and not competing with each other. And I'm like, I don't really know. Like, for me, I think a little tool that's helped me is I'm mixing along the way while I'm creating. Like, if I have a kick, I want to get it as close as possible to what I'm imagining, in my head, rather than just like do everything and just figure it out at the end. So I think that's something cool that people can start tweaking, start getting it to that point. Maybe it's not 100% there. Just add whatever you need to do. Play around with effects, play around with, different compression or distortions or whatever, things that you probably don't even understand what they exactly do. But that's how I learned a lot, just by trying, messing up, and now knowing, okay, so this does this. Okay, so now I'm gonna add that to what I do. And, little by little, I think that created my own sound, which for me, that's the best, sauce that anybody could have. It's just create and find the way that's gonna be authentic to you. Not locking yourself in a box creatively of, okay, this is the rule for reggaeton. You have to use these 3 kicks and these 3 snares. And maybe, for a certain sound it works, but you can play around. And that's what I did. I started playing around with drums that I probably heard the Neptunes using, but let me just throw it into a reggaeton groove. And that gave me a distinct different sound that when people like listen to it, hey, there's something like different over here. Probably like super weird, but it catches their attention. And little by little, you start to develop something that's different than the other guys. When I started, like, I was underneath the umbrella of Looney Tunes, of Nelly, of Nesty, and they were all way better than what I was. So I was just like a little smaller version of what they were. So I don't think I will ever get into that next stage, just doing exactly what they're doing. So that's where I started to find, let me just mix up stuff, change stuff over here, merge it with different genres, try different samples. And little by little, people started to notice, okay, he's doing kind of the same thing, but with a different twist. And I think that's something that people could just grab and make it their own. So my advice always, to producers is to not really second guess or doubt yourselves. I know that tends to happen. Like, it happened to me. I got to a point where, I started finding my way and getting, maybe a successful song. And after that point, people would just start asking for that exact same song. And it could get a little bit repetitive, and, you can get a little bit, tired of the same thing, feeling that people probably are not giving opportunities to different sounds. But it just takes, the right beat for the right artist, for for people to get it and understand it, for those songs to probably come out there, be successful. So stay in the right course of not doubting yourself, just trying to find whatever inspires you and moves you. Like, you want to also half and half want to please the artist or the songwriter and just like have something that they would like, but also add your little twist all the time, so you have a distinct sound and something that motivates you to be excited about creating it. I know it's not as good if you're creating and you're not liking at all what you're doing. Like, it just becomes like a long, weird process of just finishing a track because it will get you money or a placement. And it will happen here and there, but just to be able to be excited of what you're doing is the most important part. Because I think even if it's not as successful, like, an artist will probably hear that and say, okay, I like what he tried over there, let me just add my twist to that. And probably people start to accept it. So just believe in yourself. That's the best advice that I think I can give you today. Don't second doubt, whatever you feel is what you believe in, and just create your own sound, and that will take sky's the limit.